All right, good enough. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. As Mr. Wortham said, I'm Jim Jury, and I'm glad to be here. This is the second time I've been able to come to one of these, and the last time I came, it was a cloudy, rainy day, and we ended up getting a really, really good group of Barrett students, so maybe that's an omen for today, too. How many of you are 8th grade parents? Okay, well, very good. This is my third full year at Mayo. Before that, I was at Ballard for 11 years. Mr. Johnston was at Ballard too, and I stole him from Ballard, and I'm glad that I did. He is one of our really, really good counselors. So I have a handout that I gave you, just more or less for you to go over and to give me a little bit of direction. Otherwise, I would just ramble and go on and be pretty incoherent. So a couple things on it. We're big, as you know, if you followed us. We have about 1,950 students, which is about 150 more than we had when I first got there 3 years ago. And it's got to be because of the great leadership that we're growing. I'm kidding, of course, but you guys got to laugh at my jokes, or this is going to be. I mean, this is. But one of the things that strikes me is that we really only get our kids from the 3 traditional middle schools. 2 years ago, we were able to take 20 or 25 kids off of the random draw list. But we have hundreds of kids who want to get into Mayo, hundreds who can't get into Mayo. And so the fact that, you are Barrett students or Barrett parents with students here is a good thing if Mayo is the direction you want to go, because you're in. You don't have to do anything to be in. I think that all things considered, that is really a great opportunity. Let me talk just a little bit. My 2 kids graduated from Ballard. It was a good experience for them. I was the principal at Ballard. But now that I'm at Mayo, I can tell you that it has been the best move of my career as a high school principal to be there. I'm so impressed with what I see from our student body, especially our student body, our parent involvement, and then what we're trying to do both in and out of the classroom with extracurriculars, that it's just a superior place to be, okay? And 3.5 years ago, I wasn't sure I could really give much testimony to that, but now I can. This group of seniors is the group that was there my first year, so I've been able to watch them and see them grow and mature, and I'm just so impressed with our students every day. It amazes me. So we're big, we're crowded. The good news is that if you know our campus at all, we're getting Geens, which is across the parking lot as you come in. So next year we will have basically all of Geens for our use. They're going to put a cafeteria in there, so we're going to have an extra cafeteria. Our art rooms are going to be expanded, and they're going to be there. We want to make that into a visual and performing arts and world language center for us, which would be very unique to have. And I'm really excited about that. The arts are an important part of my life, both professionally and personally, because I have a son who's an artist, and he's also teaching art, and I have a daughter who was a violinist, and now she's a nurse. But the arts and music are important to me. So we're going to do what we can to enhance those programs. In fact, our art department has grown by 2 teachers in a year. So we're really pleased with the direction that we're going with that. So we just moved from a 6-period day last year to an AB block. Last year was our first year, and all things considered, I thought we did a really good job with that. Why did we do that? Because our kids on a 6-period day were not able to get enough electives to really enrich the high school experience, and that's important. That high school experience is something more than just the core classes, okay? Because let's face it, when you talk about your high school experience, when you guys talk about your high school experience, most of the time You're not going to talk about what took place in English class or math class or science class. It's the other opportunities that you have that create those good memories. And that's what we want to do, because the test scores are important, don't get me wrong. But as I age in this profession, I want to be able to make sure I can look back and say, I gave our kids opportunities to be kids too, okay? We push so hard on test scores and performance that sometimes we get lost in whether or not our kids are really having a great experience, and if it's something that they will create those lifelong memories. So that's one of the reasons we went to the block schedule. The other reason is we think it resembles a college schedule. You know, if you remember back on your college days, you would have English class on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and maybe science or math on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's kind of the way we are at Mayo. So programs at Mayo, everything you can think of, we generally have. You think of a comprehensive high school, that's what we are. If we don't have it, in my other school, we used to have a saying, if we don't have it, you don't need it. But we're willing to explore. We are very willing to explore other opportunities. We just got approved by the College Board for what we call Capstone. And Capstone is a research-based, problem-solving type of AP program for our kids, and it starts their sophomore year. So we will pair up English teachers with one of our statisticians, Mr. Kim, who's fantastic, by the way, and they will work on what they call a capstone project, and it's over a 2-year period. And the culminating event is a presentation and big research paper. Now, if you think about it, getting ready for college and getting ready for what you need to know in school, that's as important as anything. Being able to do research, being able to disaggregate data, and to be able to write coherently and effectively. So we're real excited about that. This brand new, we just got approved probably a month ago, and we're looking forward to that. Our test scores and our ranking is still, when they were ranking, it was 99th percentile. The state now decided not to rank. Our ACT scores have gone up for 3 years in a row, maybe longer. I've been there 3 full years, so that's all I really care about. No, I'm just kidding. No, they're in a positive trend. And you know, if you know anything about statistics, you reach a point where you start regressing to the mean. But we haven't reached that point yet, so we still have room to grow, and we're going to do that. We're pushing AP, which is a little bit different, I think, for Mayo. When I first got to Mayo, and historically at Mayo, the big push was to do well on, used to be called CAT scores and state assessment. Now, my push is ACT and AP. And that's a little bit different. And the reason I think that's important is because it has a direct benefit for our kids and our families. My own 2 children left school, one of them with 31 college hours and one of them with 30 hours. I want to get to the point where we're doing that with our kids at Mayo. We're going to be an ACT test site. We want to do that because I think that being familiar with the test environment really does help scores. So our kids will be able to take their ACT at Mayo. We also want to be a CLEP site, which means I think it's college level exam program. You can CLEP out of hours in college if the university accepts the CLEP test. For example, I know one student who CLEPed out of 12 Spanish hours and became a Spanish minor as a result, even though they only got a 2 on the AP. Now that was at Ballard, but so the CLEP test is another option that we're going to explore. Right now, I think probably Bellarmine, but for sure U of L, or where they have to go to take those tests. So we're going to do some of that. You guys know all about dress code. Your kids, I'm sure, are tired of hearing about dress code and uniform and things like that. One of the things that I'm a big believer in is that as kids get a little bit older, we've got to loosen the reins a little bit. You know, that's the way I raised like I did it. My wife raised our kids. That's the way we raised our kids. You know, as they got a little bit older, you know, they assume a little more responsibility. And even though we still have a dress code, and I think that's necessary, it's probably more loose than here or the other middle schools. But that's on purpose, okay? And we listen to our kids. When our kids come to us and say, okay, it's all right if we wear sweatshirts. You know, they'll come to SBDM and we will listen to them, and if they make the case the right way, most of the time we will try to support them, knowing full well that if things don't work out, we reserve the right to go back to the way things were. So we listen to our kids when it comes to things like dress codes and rules and other things. Our expectations are high. I think that's one of the reasons we do well. I think it's probably the biggest reason we do well. Our GAP score, if you look at our GAP scores, you'll see that the actual gap is very small. That's why it's really, really hard for us to get all of our state points on the state assessment system for reducing the gap. Our gap is really small the way it is. And the reason it's like that is because we have expectations of all of our kids that they perform. Yes, ma'am.
What is GAP?
GAP would be, there are certain kids that are identified, usually from poverty or ECE. There are different criteria that are associated with the kids in the GAP category, and you have your students who are GAP kids and non-GAP kids, and the state now is saying, okay, the kids from poverty perform a lot lower than the kids who aren't from poverty. And so the effort is to try to get those GAP scores as small as you can and reduce the gap, okay? Ours is really good, just so you know. Ours is excellent in all candor. So when I look at our data, I look at that and I'm thinking, wow, that's exceptional. So with our scores, our ACT, like I said, have gone up. And then finally about our kids, I think some of you know, you're at Barrett for certain reasons, okay? You like the environment, you like the expectations, you like the rules, you like the regular. Your kids might not, but I think you guys feel secure in what you're doing with your children and what they're doing with your children at Barrett. And that's fantastic. We love getting Barrett students. We love it. I mean, if I could wave a magic wand and get them all, I would take every one of them. Even the worst one, I would take. None of your kids, of course, but we love getting our students from Barrett, and we have those same expectations. You know, there's certain behaviors that we don't tolerate. There are certain expectations that we have, and you know the beauty of all that? The kids usually respond in a real positive way. When we lay out the expectations, kids will respond in a nice way and usually meet them. So we're real excited about that. Our student body is second to none. Our school spirit is better than anybody's in town. I stand on it and believe it. Our kids, when it comes to competitions, they support each other, they root for each other, they cheer for each other, and if you've ever been to some of our games, you see that. And to me, again, that goes back to enhancing that experience in school. There are very few schools who can do some of the things that we do, whether it's programmatically or whether it's instructionally, whether it's with parents, whether it's with fundraising. Very few schools, and we're very fortunate to be where we are. So that's just my little spiel. I'm really proud of Mayo. I didn't graduate from there. In fact, I'm not even from Kentucky originally, but I'm so, I guess, thankful for the opportunity to be at Mayo. And after Mr. Johnston's finished, I'll answer any questions that you have. So I'm gonna let him talk for a while, and then afterward, ask me anything you want to ask me. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find it for you. I hope. Okay.
Like Dr. Drury said, my name is Phil Johnston. I'm one of the counselors. We do have 4 counselors. We've changed it up a little bit this year. In the past, they have split them by grade. Now we split by alphabet. So each of us has a chunk of the alphabet for the whole school. So we have freshmen all the way up to seniors, which I like, which means that we will travel with those kids all 4 years. So that way when it comes college application time and we're writing all these letters and all that, we know them. So I think that's an important thing and a good thing that we've made a change to. Transition to high school is scary, and rightfully so. I get that. It's scary for kids and it's scary for parents. We want to make sure that we answer any questions that you have. You can always call the office, ask to talk to us if you have a question about what's this like for a freshman? What does this look like? I put together one of the sheets that you have with the H at the top of it with just some frequently asked questions that people call us or stop by and ask about how do we schedule classes, how do we pick classes, and that kind of thing. There on the back side of that there are some sample student schedules. Obviously it doesn't touch on all the possibilities because there's a million of them, but that's kind of what a schedule would look like. Dr. Drury mentioned that we're on an A-B block, so we have a purple day and a gold day, and it's been a really good thing. It really does. Kids have a chance to have a study hall where they can catch up on work and get work done. They have a chance to take 8 classes. Not everyone has a study hall, but most do. But the big thing is always ask questions. I'm always getting asked, do you have advanced level classes? So there's an answer on there, and yes, we do, absolutely. We have 21 advanced placement classes, which are College Board AP. Capstone's not on there because we just got that, but that will be added as well. So we'll have more coming with that. The difference between advanced level and AP. Because the district has had the advanced program for years and they call it AP. Well, then there's College Board advanced placement called AP. And so when someone calls and asks a question about AP, it's like, well, which AP are you talking about? So, those are things that we love to answer and we'll be happy to answer for you if you have those questions today. Like Dr. Drury said, well, hopefully you all will choose Mayo. It's a great place to be. I've been extremely happy there. The kids are outstanding. The faculty is outstanding. In the spring, we will have some scheduling nights. We haven't set those dates yet. Most likely be by alphabet. You'll come in. We'll walk you through the scheduling process. You'll pick classes right then and there. We'll have some information online with course descriptions and things that you can look at, and we'll talk about that then. But that comes up in the spring. You'll pick classes, and then actual schedules don't get made until the summer. I do the master schedule for the building, so all the actual schedules don't get run until right before registration. So we're constantly updating things, looking at numbers, making changes and things like that. One of the big questions that gets asked all the time is, well, if you're having these scheduling nights by alphabet, all the classes are going to fill up. I'm at the end of the alphabet. I'm not going to be able to get the classes I want. That's not true. We're just getting all the requests in, and it doesn't matter if you come to the first night or the last night, everyone still has the equal opportunity to get whatever classes they request. So that's also on the sheet. But on the bottom of that sheet, there's also all the AP courses that we offer, which is quite impressive. We pretty much have everything that anybody else in town has as far as AP goes. So it's a great program, and we're happy to have all that we have. So I know you guys want to ask questions, so that's kind of all I have on my presentation part, and we're going to leave it to you guys.
Any questions you guys have, make sure you ask them loud so the people watching online can see.
So, Dr. Drury, the Jeans Academy, I have no idea what that is. A private, public?
It's the building across the parking lot.
Yes.
It's just called Geens for some reason, and it used to be part of a school, I think. That's where the auditorium is located, and the district's going to come in over the summer and redo all the heating and air and convert some of the space into classroom space. They're going to put a cafeteria in there for us, and it used to be where we would go all the time for principal meetings and other kinds of professional development and growth. I don't know where the district's going to put all that now, but for us it's good because if you've heard the phrase teachers on carts, we have a few teachers on carts this year. Not many, just 3 or 4, because we now have the lower level of Geens and a couple of classrooms on the main level. Next year we won't have nobody on a cart, which is really, really good. We won't have anybody who has to travel from room to room. And that doesn't sound like a big deal, But really it is. I mean, it's a huge deal for teachers and for kids, because having your quote unquote stuff there for a teacher really does help. So it's the building across, if you come into the parking lot, it's the building on the right. And it's going to be converted, and we're going to have that next year. And I'm really looking forward to that. Right now we have 10 teachers, I think it's about 10 in that building, in the lower level and the main level. Next year we'll have probably 3 or 4 more. All of our art will be over there next year. Right now we only have 1 art teacher over there. Yes, ma'am.
Hold on, just to tell you, originally, that building was Prestonia Elementary, then it was converted into Gaines Academy, or administrative offices, to simplify things, in the 80s. Now it's going back to a functioning school again. So, but Mail will have it all.
And I'll say this, that's, you know, if you don't know, I want you to know that I'm a big supporter of Dr. Polio. So this is something that he is very much on board with. He knows the crowding issue that we have had at Mail. If you've ever been over there during lunch, you'll see that we have cafeteria tables in the front lobby. We won't have that anymore next year, which is really good, you know. So I'm real pleased that he and his leadership team have taken that on and done some things to help Mail out. That's really good. Yes, ma'am.
So you mentioned performing arts would be in that building. Does that include any type of drama or musical theater?
We have it's interesting. In our building, our main building, we have a room 117 that is really a theater room. I mean, it's got a stage, it has seating scattered around it, and that will be the theater room. A drama next year will have access to the stage at Gaines whenever they want it. But I think we're probably going to move them. Right now they're in a regular classroom instead of 117, which is really a drama room. If you've ever been in there, it's pretty impressive. You could do 1-act plays and 2-act plays in there very, very easily. Like I said, it's got the lighting already. It's got the seating. It's got a stage. It's really nice. Somebody really has some good foresight when they put that in the building. And that's where we have our faculty meetings now. So it can easily seat probably 125 people in that room. So, but Mr. Gilbert is our theater teacher, and we really like him. We borrowed him. I guess I can't use the word stole him from PRP, but he has now seen the light. So he's a bulldog through and through. Other questions? Surely you got something. Yes, sir.
A couple of Governor Scholar questions. Does Mail do anything specific to help students prepare, and how have they competed with other top schools?
Well, I know Phil can talk to the preparation, but I know that we last year had a big number of Governor Scholars. I don't know that very well. We're as strong as any in town. You know, for Governor Scholars, I know Governor School for the Arts, we had, I know Eric was one. I just talked to him this week. So both School for the Arts and Governor Scholars.
As far as preparation goes, starting at the beginning of the year, we start pushing it with the juniors. There's a couple of parent meetings actually where they talk about all the deadlines and all that stuff and what they need to be doing. We go in and we do counseling visits with every grade level at the beginning of the year. We take them in the computer lab or we meet with them in the auditorium, and that's part of the agenda with every single grade. So even in freshman year, we talk about, okay, you know, right now your job is to worry about making sure that your grades and GPA are where they need to be, and those of you wanting to do Governor Scholar who may be interested in that at some point need to start doing the community service and all that kind of stuff. So we start pushing that early on so that they know what's expected and they're not waiting until junior year and they haven't done any community service or anything like that. So we do start that freshman year all the way on it.
Are there targets for ACT and GPA that are typically successful?
I mean, they do look at a test score. That's part of the scoring process, but it is a scoring as a whole. So it's not if you have this particular ACT score, you're going to get it or not. Those are obviously part of the whole total package, but there are essays and recommendations and all those kinds of things as well. So GSP looks for well-rounded kids, not just all the kids who are, the highest ACT and the highest GPA. So we have a wide range of kids that wind up at GSP. So
Community services, leadership opportunities are very important for Governor's College. Grades are another big thing. It's, the rubric is broken down, grades, unweighted grades. In other words, in high school, you get quality points for taking AP classes. That would be advanced program classes. So the leadership and the community involvement is really important, very important.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So current enrollment is 1950. Do you plan for that to go up as you acquire more space at Gaines, or do you?
I don't, but I'm not the one in charge of that. I think and I was telling Mr. Wortham, I think we've reached really a saturation point with the 3 middle schools. There's not a whole lot more students to get with that. So I think that number, as long as we continue to do well, will probably stay pretty consistent. Now, if we get Gaines and they say, okay, we want you to be at 2,000, which I just don't see that happening, then we would take some, because we literally have hundreds of kids on the wait list. So it's amazing, and it's heartbreaking to be able to tell these families that you'd love to have in your building that there's no chance. But I don't foresee that. The only way we would grow would be if all of a sudden we started getting 100% of the kids from all of the middle schools, which that's not very likely in reality, But I think we're about where we're going to be, I think, for the next couple of years.
current freshman class is around 565-ish, I think. So it's
I think the
big.
last couple have been like that. Our senior class is really big. It was a really big class coming in, and so last year's juniors last year's seniors was the smallest, but yeah, we're pushing 550 to 600 with our freshman group as they come in, and if you think about it, that's bigger than a couple schools in town, just freshmen. So.
How do you prepare your students for the ACT? Is there some sort of course or?
Well, we encourage our teachers to build that in throughout in every course. That's one of the big emphasis that we have is on preparing kids for the ACT. So they do a lot of that in their classes. We also have a program called Edgenuity that every kid at Male has an account on, and there's some ACT prep software preloaded on that, and every single kid has access to that. So those are really the big areas. We encourage kids to take practice tests as often and as much as they can. With my kids, I typically push them around end of sophomore year to start thinking about taking an ACT, even if nothing else for the experience. They haven't had all the content that they need yet by that point, but I think a lot's to be said for to learn what it's like to take a giant test like that in one sitting, so that they get a little bit better at it as they go.
So
We
what's
actually
the average
do-
number that kids are taking it before they?
Before the school offers it, I mean, quite a bit. I mean, I don't know the exact number, but
We
lot
give a
of-
practice test.
Yeah.
We actually set up just like they would on the one in March. We do practice tests. I think this year's senior class had at least 2 practice tests before the regular.
Because you can take it how many times?
as many times as you want. And the national dates are published on ACT.org. You can sign up for them whenever you want, and go to one of the testing sites. Like Dr. Street said, we're not currently a testing site for the Saturday tests, but we're looking to be one. So that we think that'll be a good thing for our kids.
And
One of
last question on that, do they take the average? Because I don't really remember how that works, the ACT. Do they take the average, or do they take the best score, or how does that work?
You mean as for each kid's score?
Right, for college.
Well, some schools do it's called a super score, and it really depends on the college. Super score means if they did better on the math section on one sitting and the English section on another sitting, then they'll combine all of those into it's not necessarily their highest composite score, but it's their highest overall super score is what they call it. Not all schools do that, and some schools do it for just admissions and not for scholarships, and it really kind of depends on the colleges. But you can take it as many times as you want. Kids have the option to, when they take it, send that score to, I think it's three colleges for free when they initially take it, and then if they want to get on and send them afterwards, they can do that as well. And I think they charge a little bit to do that. But we have kids take it several times. We have kids who have targets in mind because they know that there's a scholarship that they're looking for at a certain school, that you've got to have a 28 to get that scholarship or to be admitted into that program, and they're going to take it until they get that 28. So we just had a student this year on the September test get a 36. I saw that in the paper. Outstanding young man. But right now is a big scholarship and college deadline. December 1st is a big one. December 15th is kind of the next one. So I've been doing a lot of letter writing and talking to kids, and it's just, it amazes me how many kids we have with 34s and 35s and 32s on the ACT. It's really, really impressive.
One of the things we're doing, and the faculty doesn't know this yet, next Tuesday at our faculty meeting, they're going to take a section of the ACT. They're going to take the reading part of the ACT. It's one of those. Well, they get to score it on their own. But we've got our alumni have donated some little prizes for who gets the highest score. So we'll see how honest they are. But they'll be honest, I think. But we're going to do that, and then we're going to give them a release section. Like if you're math, we're going to ask them to take that during their common plan time. Test awareness for teachers is probably the biggest thing we can do to prepare our kids. And I think it's been so long for many, and I'm going to take it, and Mr. Johnston's going to take it. But test awareness for our faculty, I think, is probably the best thing we can do to help prepare our kids for the exam. Now, getting them used to the test environment and being able to sustain an effort for the length of time for the test is another thing. And that's why we practice that, so they know what it's like to sit and take a full-blown ACT that really doesn't count, and then the types of questions. Off and on, we do what we call ACT Tuesday as well. And it's just like what we would call a bell ringer or an exit slip, where it's one or two questions that are from a release, or ACT type questions that are from a release test. So, like I said, this is an important part of, I think, what we do, because it directly relates to giving kids choices after high school. Where do you want to go to college? Are you going to get scholarship money? A lot of it's tied in with the ACT score. Yeah.
Is there any timeline on getting mail to be a testing site?
No, we're working on it now. Lori Huff, who is our building assessment coordinator, has already been in contact with them. So we're just kind of waiting to hear. We're trying to decide if we want to do a full-blown test site with all the test dates or just 3 or 4 of the test dates. So that's we're going to see what they tell us when they respond. We're waiting on them, really, at this point.
Yes, ma'am.
Are the freshmen scheduled in one part of the building, or do they?
They're all over. Yeah, it's a big place. They manage to get where they need to go. It's a little stressful at the beginning, but we're flexible with them at first until they learn the right stairwells to go up and down, that kind of thing, and they make it. But yeah, it's interesting.
Do they carry the backpacks, or
They can.
They have lockers.
Yeah.
But like most kids, they're not going to use their locker,
Right.
but they do have lockers.
A lot of kids, with us being on the block schedule, a lot of kids will have a purple day backpack and a gold day backpack. That way they don't have to carry everything. As long as they can manage that effectively, it works pretty well. And the good thing, we also have, there's the Mail High app. If you don't have that on your phone, it's something to download. It's free.
You can get it now,
You
really.
can get it right now, and it's got a lot of good information on. We send a lot of notifications out through that. If you have the app and you have your push notifications turned on, it'll send out things to you. The probably one of the more useful things for kids is there's a calendar on there that they can open up in the morning. If they wake up and say it's Monday, gosh, is it purple or gold today? And make sure they bring the right stuff. So that's pretty useful. But it's, once they get used to it, it really doesn't take very long. It's scary at first, but they make it, and they do really, really well.
It's, you guys know this, when they left fifth grade to come in, they were the top dogs, so to speak, in fifth grade, and then they come in as sixth graders, and they're like, oh my gosh, these folks are so big. So they'll leave as eighth graders believing they're the top dogs again, and then they'll walk into Mail and their eyes get real big. It's that way across the nation, really. But it's kind of fun to watch them. I used to teach freshman English, and the growth from the beginning of the year to the end of the year was phenomenal. Just a sense of just a sense of confidence, if nothing else, that most of the kids would get. So it's like I said, like Mr. Johnston said, it's a scary time, but it's really an exciting time, and but they do well. They do very well. It doesn't take them long to figure things out. Really, it doesn't.
What percentage of your student body comes from Barrett?
I don't know. The majority of our freshmen are from Barrett and TMS.
Yeah.
We get some from Johnson, but from the freshman group, I can't put a number on it, but it's the biggest feeder that we have in our freshman group. And we like that too, by the way. We really do.
Absolutely.
I was telling Mr. Wortham today, I'm just, I like the fact that we get these kids, and you can not. When I was at Ballard and while I'm at Mail, you can always tell kids who come from middle schools where there are high expectations. And there are high expectations here. Yeah.
With the addition of Gaines, do you anticipate that the drama department will end up putting on a full-blown play?
Mm-hmm. I do. I think that we're moving into the point. I think going to block schedule with this is Mr. Gilbert's first year doing this, so I think going to block schedule and then having him involved like he is, I wouldn't be surprised if that almost doubles in a year. Those courses double in a year. That's the goal, to get it to the point where we really need more than one drama teacher. I'd love that.
And we base whether or not we're offering classes from year to year based on the demand, essentially how many kids sign up. And if there's a high demand for drama and we need more sections, then we try to make more sections as long as we have the staff to do it. So a lot of the new courses and extending courses to maybe a level 2 drama and things like that are dependent upon how many kids sign up.
Y'all have had some good questions. It's been interesting because you kind of been asking the high school version of the same questions you asked me when they were going to come to Barrett. Same stuff. But these guys will hang around for a few minutes if you want to come up and introduce yourself, or if you have specific questions you want to ask them. And of course, you can always email them, or you can come talk to me. I know a lot about that school, not everything, but a lot. And if I don't know, I'll get the answer. But I'm always available, and so is Mrs. May. So we really appreciate you guys being here, and we thank these guys for coming from Mail and giving us some time out of their day. So grab some coffee on your way out if you like. Okay.
It's jim.jury if you need that. jim.jury@jefferson.kyschools.us. So if you ever want to email me, seems like I'm on it all day long, but I will respond to an email.
Same here. Mine's philip.johnston with one L and Philip. Or you can go if you go to the website, or if you download that app, you can go straight through there. And feel free to call. We answer questions all the time. I'm happy to talk to you about whatever you want to talk about.
All right. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.